Jesus is a leper toucher. And this Sunday, we're going to talk about a passage from Luke chapter 5 where Jesus encounters a leper and heals him. And it's really important to know when we're talking about this story that a leper in Jesus' day was considered just gross, disgusting, horrible. There was actually a command in Jewish law where the lepers had to grow their facial hair really long and grow their hair out and wear these great big old gross rags. And when they walked through the city, they would yell out, "Unclean, unclean," so everybody knew that they were coming. And this leper has an incredible encounter with Jesus. I want to read a couple verses. It's Luke chapter 5, verse 12 and 13. This leper comes up to Jesus and he says, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said, "be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him. First thing I want to point out from this incredible story is that for some reason the leper knew he could approach Jesus. And so back in those days, lepers weren't allowed to approach anybody, especially a religious person, somebody who was considered a rabbi. There's actually stories of rabbis that would brag about how they treated lepers. One of them said he would throw stones at lepers if he saw them. Another one said he wouldn't even buy an egg if he saw a leper on the same street where this egg was being sold. So the way that these lepers were treated was horrible, especially from the religious community. But this leper knew he could approach Jesus. And what that means for us today is that no matter what your background is, no matter what you struggle with, no matter what is a part of your life that you feel like this is gross, no one wants to be a part of it, you need to know you can approach Jesus. Jesus was not intimidated by this man's disease. Jesus, unlike anybody else in his day, actually reached out and touched this leper. And instead of Jesus becoming unclean because of this leper's disease, the leper became clean because of the righteousness of Christ. The second thing that's important is that the leper did approach Jesus. So he didn't just stay in this knowledge of, yes, I know that I could go and approach Jesus. He acted in faith and went to Jesus in the midst of his struggle, in the midst of his mess. And this is where many people don't take the next step. I believe a lot of people in our world today know that Jesus is this great teacher, or that Jesus is supposedly welcoming, but don't always take the steps to go and seek him. And what I want to challenge you with this week is to take the step of faith and present yourself before Christ, and even present the difficulty or the mess that you're struggling with to Christ. Don't let shame tell you that you can't approach Christ. So it's important to know that you can approach Christ, but secondly, it's important to take the step and actually do it. And if we want to experience the touch of Jesus in our lives the same way this leper did, we've got to take that step of faith and come before Jesus.